another distinguishing note that I would like to make is that the research that you're going to come in contact with through IPE 520 is what we refer to as literary research. It's just going out and pulling data, pulling statistics, pulling sources. Think of this as what you know to be undergraduate research to a certain extent. We're not going to be designing a study. We're not going to be carrying out a study, working with methodology, running the data and the stats. Instead, the focus of this course is writing and putting together a literature review, which is an extensive, dynamic, multifaceted literary research paper that will precede any study at the graduate level. So this is just catching the reader up and getting the reader acclimated with where your research domain is, what's been researched up to this point in time, and so that they can then proceed to the actual research study that may be conducted based on whatever it is that you're investigating. This is a core course, which means it is a requirement of the program. It's not within a track. It's one of these first few courses that you have to take. Um, and some of the baseline objectives here: to learn how to write expository prose employed at graduate level research and discourse-based projects. So that's analysis and literature reviews. To learn how to develop and defend a position in an evidence-based argument. So we're going to talk about the rhetorical points of emphasis, why this is important, and why research and argumentation and persuasion are important in terms of building research and an argument based on a claim or a premise. To develop basic research skills applicable to the disciplines of professional sport, and so research skills as it pertains to the style guide of APA. To improve understanding of standard English grammar, context, and syntax. And finally, to cultivate habits of close reading as well as critical and analytical, evidence-based argumentation and logic. One thing that I like to always say at the onset of a research or English class is that writing and thought are inextricably bound. You can't separate one from the other. So if you're not thinking highly critical and analytically, if your thinking patterns are not organized, it's going to be reflected in your writing and in your content. You can't separate the two. And so we're going to learn a little bit about what we call a critical analytical framework that's going to help you dissect and focus certain topics, what will be your research interest, for instance, and then to expand on that and conduct research to elaborate on that. But you're going to get two sides of this. You're going to get the writing and the research component, but also the thinking component that is a necessary prerequisite to engage in research. Teaching methods, we've already talked about this. We've talked about the course schedule. Textbooks. The textbooks are required. There are two of them. I've got them listed here at the top of the syllabus. These are absolute requirements. You will need these by the second week. The most important is the APA Publication Manual, 7th edition. You'll find the information here. This is the hard copy that you need to cover all aspects of APA in terms of organization, document formatting, citation. At the graduate level, you really need to have, and it's a standard to have, in fact, the hard copy. You can't rely on APA, Purdue OWL, or citation generators or that kind of thing. You have to do this stuff manually. The final lit review and the analyses that you produce as a product of this class is going to require you to know how to utilize APA effectively. So you need the hard copy. It'll look something like this. The other is a textbook, Writing Literature Reviews, a guide for students of the social and behavioral sciences. APA is indicative of social and behavioral sciences. These are your fields such as psychology, professional sport, some business disciplines. The idea is that if you're working heavily with people, cognitive, psychological, and even up to a certain extent, even health-based and athletic-based types of material, those will all fall within the scope of social and behavioral sciences. So these two you need. I will publish other writing assignments in Canvas as needed, but you do need to secure these textbooks as soon as possible, or one textbook and then our style guide that we're using here. I put a note in here. It doesn't matter to me if you try to secure the e-text or ebook version. Just one of those things that personally I think is most helpful is to have the hard copies, because you're going to have screens of research and you're going to have sources pulled up, possibly even on two screens, whatever your situation may be, your logistical situation. Sometimes it's helpful just to have the hard copy that you can write notes in or that you can tab or whatever the case may be. This stuff will get somewhat complex as we go through. Technology requirements are all here. Essentially, you need some type of Ethernet or high-speed internet connection that will allow you to complete the modules, to be able to meet with me via Zoom. So these are pretty standard parameters regarding technology. One thing I would like to point out here is that this class, you're going to need a laptop. This is not something that you can put together on an iPad. We will be using Microsoft Word. That's our word processing software. I'm sure you have all used Microsoft Word, but we will be using the full licensed version that has all of the tools necessary to be able to put these documents together that you will compile in this class. The Office 365 version of Word will not suffice. You need the full version. As a Wingate University student, you have access to the full Microsoft Office suite for free off of MyGate. Just locate Office 365. I'll post another video for how to do this, but when you access 365 off of MyGate, make sure that you click Install in the top right hand corner. And I recommend all incoming students to go ahead and just install the full licensed version of everything. You're going to need Excel in the future. There may be times you need the other pieces of the software, and it's pretty expensive software that you get for free by virtue of being a student. If you have a Mac, we need to make sure that you have Microsoft Word, the full license version, on your Mac. There's a download for Mac specific Microsoft Word applications in Office 365 off of MyGate. Have some links here for these types of resources. Some final documents are usually saved in PDF format, so it's a good idea to make sure your Adobe PDF is updated. This is pretty standard and comes with most devices, but if not, you can go here to access that. And then all of the standard technology requirements that you need for Canvas. Most everyone is good to go with that. Unless you have a Chromebook, sometimes there's some little snafus that come with having a Chromebook, but otherwise you should be good to go. If you do need technology assistance, I have a link to our information technology department. They can help with any issues in downloading software, or if you're having a technical issue with your device, you can go there. You can also submit a case through Bulldog Central. This is our student hub. So you would log in and then you can go here just to find some basic information. A lot of this is undergrad, but I'm pointing this out because once you log in, there will be a link under here that you can click. It says need help. And if you are having technology issues, downloading issues, whatever the case may be, you can submit a ticket and they will follow up with you. So I do want to point that out. The next section here, class decorum and netiquette. This goes without saying. You all are adults. In many cases, you all are working professionals now. It's a minimum standard to be professional in all interactions. Of course, this is an online program, so all of the content is delivered via computer-mediated communication. Thus, it's always important to think about what words you're using, how you're communicating, and this goes to this speaks to even email format. One of my pet peeves is as someone who teaches English and writing, it's really disheartening to get an email that says "Hey you," or an email that does not have a subject line or is not put together in proper format. So one of the things that I tend to adhere to is a policy that if you send me an email, it needs to have a subject line, and then the content of your email needs a salutation, dear, title, content, a body message, and then a closing, sincerely, all the best, etc. And so you want to make sure you're engaging in all of these rules that you know to be standards of professionalism, and that is also referred to as netiquette. So the rules that apply through communicating via computer-mediated communication. Another note is that at this level, as one would expect, make sure that you are referring to your instructors by their proper credentials. Doctor, my title is Mr., for instance, but your other instructors may be Doctor. Make sure that you refer to them by their credentials. That's very important at this level of academia. And also any faculty and staff that you may work with at the university, try to always utilize titles. Never use first names. Again, that's just standard decorum of professionalism at this level. I have my diversity statement here. It's my intent that students from all diverse backgrounds and perspectives are well served in the course, and that we integrate a vast array of different experiences and backgrounds into our course content. The idea is that we're learning together. We are a lab of difference making, is our new slogan for Wingate University, and that's really indicative of our values as it pertains to diversity. So I have a diversity statement here. Real quickly, attendance. Your participation in the weekly modules is absolutely expected to earn a passing grade. You'll have to keep up with the weekly assignments, whatever is there. It's you have the autonomy to complete assignments when and where and how, as long as they're completed prior to the due date for each week. And so the idea is to build that in so it's flexible for you. And then meeting with me, of course, is absolutely required as we go through the semester. This is how you're going to get your feedback. This is how you're going to work through all of your what I call writing nuances. And really and truly, it's the editor to scholar relationship, working one-on-one. I will put together a publisher report that includes my recommendations for your writing. And so it's really important that you are engaged. If not, I will reach out to you and I will make recommendations that you drop the course, because if you are not engaged in meeting, you will not pass the course. Real quickly, the course assignments, very simple. There are 3 percentage brackets for your grade, 2 major assignments, so there is a critical analysis. Think of this as the first iteration of your lit review, which is the final outcome of the class. So you will take your initial research interest and develop it and focus it and get it on paper. And in a few pages, 4 to 5 pages, it will be very indicative of what I think you all know to be research, literary research at the undergrad level. And the idea is to really focus on your idea, your research domain, and to also improve your writing. So to really segue from undergrad to graduate level writing and research in that assignment to get everything on paper. And then what we will do after the first quarter of the class is we will take that content and your research interest and elaborate. We will add on to it. We will engage in extensive research and we'll build that critical analysis out to the final lit review. And so think of these as 2 iterations of the same major assignment. 35% for the first iteration, or what I'm calling the critical analysis, and then the final lit review that you will produce is 45%. So this will be your final product of the course, your final lit review that you will take with you to your other classes. Finally, daily and weekly writing assignments. So these are the different assignments that are included in the weekly modules. These will vary. Sometimes they will be annotations, they will be quizzes, small writing assignments. That's 20% of the total grade. It's really important to note that all of the assignments weekly are scaffolded, so they build on each other. If you miss a week, you're missing a pivotal component to what you're going to need to be successful in the major assignments here. So all that together, 100% weighted. The grading scale is your standard 10-point grading scale. 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 B, 70 to 79 C, 65 to 69 D, and then of course 0 to 64 is an F. 2 policies that I do have: the 24/7 rule. If you're dissatisfied with a grade on any assignment in the class, the procedure is you wait at least 24 hours from receiving your final grade before requesting a grade review. I will only review grades in person via Zoom. I won't do the back and forth by email. So this gives you time to disengage and cool down a little bit if you're upset with a grade for whatever reason before contacting me. And then you must submit a request within 7 calendar days, not class days, after the assignment has been returned. And so this keeps all of the grade appeals or grade reviews resolved in a timely manner for both myself and you also. And then just set up an email appointment with me to discuss any grade, and I will be happy to discuss that with you. Late assignments, daily or major, specifically major assignments, are not accepted for any reason. It's important that you be working on your research and that you are actively drafting these major assignments, these major papers ahead of time. And you'll find that these assignments are not ones that you can throw together at the last minute and earn a passing grade. A lot of strategy is employed in pursuit of completing these assignments. And so it'll be an ongoing project. But the perk of that is you're going to be putting this together throughout the course. Very important. Students with disabilities, if you have some type of documented disability, i.e., physical, learning, psychiatric, vision, hearing, cognitive, etc., it's important that you tap into the resources you have available through the Office of Disability Support Services. It's encouraged that you do this the first week of class.